I just wanted to let everybody know that I will record only my shared screen. I will not be recording any faces. I will not be recording the chat. And I have created a YouTube channel, which I will share a little bit later on. And I will put the recording of this session on the YouTube channel so that if you want to go back, rewind, pause, any of that, I want to make sure that you have the resources that you need. Okay, it is 4:45. People will be joining us as they can. I will get started. My name is Dana Morse, and I'm with Texas Instruments.
What did you say?
Kristen, since you're the only video that I see, can you give me a thumbs up if they are seeing my first slide, AMTNYS 2020? Awesome. Okay. So I'm a former high school math teacher. I taught in upstate New York for 10 years before leaving the classroom to join Texas Instruments. And I wanted to share some tips and tricks to assist you and your students this year, as this year is definitely going to be the most challenging. Here's our agenda for this evening. I want to share some resources for you and your students. I want to go over some of the New York State Graphing Calculator guideline changes. And I wanted to break down sample New York State Math Regents questions using both the TI-84 Plus, 83 Plus, I'll talk about that one, Michael, don't worry, and the TI-Nspire CX technology. So, you math teachers, you have lots and lots of problems. Hopefully, here are some of your solutions. Get TI teacher software free. So if you use the 84 or 83, you use the TI-Nspire technology, or if you also teach some middle school classes or colleagues in the middle school, all you have to do to get the software for teachers is email me at dmorse@ti.com. Now, everybody's muted, so I can't hear all the oohs and ahs, so I'll let YouTube take care of that. So anytime something important happens, I'll just hit that button. Because I know if we were face-to-face, that's what would be going on. Many of you have contacted me about the Chromebook solution. TI has made the TI-84 Plus beta app for Chromebooks free until July 15th of 2021. So if you have access, your students have access to Chromebooks, you can email me and I can give you the extension for that so that they have something that they can use. If you do not have Chromebooks, you're a Windows or Mac school, or you use Inspire and you need something for the students, the educational dealers made a 365-day subscription license for around $13. I know EAI Education charges about $13. All the dealers are going to be very competitive and trying to help schools out. So, what have I done since March 2020 when COVID broke out? I decided that if I wasn't traveling, I'd have a lot of fun by putting puzzles together, and that lasted a little while. And then I decided to make better use of my time, and I created a YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search Mr. Dana Morse, or I will supply you with the link later on, you can subscribe. I have videos, tech tip videos, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, for you to share with your students so that anything that's tough to teach because you're not face-to-face, flip the classroom, doing it remotely, just search Dana Morse. I have videos on webinars that are the longer ones, about an hour in length, and 5-minute videos that are good for student attention span length. Right before COVID hit us, March 2nd, 2020, New York State Department of Ed released new graphing calculator guidelines. And if you didn't know about it, it's okay. It probably you had bigger things to think about as opposed to new graphing calculator guideline changes. So I wanted to share what changed. As we bring it up, okay, so restrictions. As you know, state ed will not make a list of graphing calculators that are acceptable, but what they will do is list all the functionality that is not acceptable. So computer algebra system, CAS, is not acceptable for the state exam. And you cannot have measuring capabilities, segment lengths, things like that, transformations. And you can't have communication. So the only real difference here is the measuring length and things like that, transformations. But if you scroll down into the frequently asked questions section, number 1 is brand new. Can a graphing calculator be used to simplify radicals or give exact trig values? This answer changed. So now exact arithmetic is acceptable for the New York State Math Regents exams. Number 4, I have a computer algebra system calculator. Can that be used? You may not use this calculator unless there's a way to restrict CAS features that are prohibited in the guidelines. I'm foreshadowing with that one, number 4. Number 9, my calculator can reflect a figure over the y-axis. Am I allowed to use this? No, you cannot have one that does transformations. And number 11 is a big deal. It's been discussed but never really put down in paper. Can students use multiple calculators on Regents exams? State Ed put it in writing. No, you can only use one calculator now. So that's a big deal. I know a lot of schools in my travels have kids use this at home, this at school. We have them use both. Now you are restricted to just one handheld. Okay, so with that being said, I have my TI-84 Plus CE, my TI-Nspire CX2 CAS. So also last spring, Texas Instruments released a new model. And I would never dare do a presentation on CAS in New York State because it's not acceptable unless there's a way to restrict CAS. TI listened to the exam agencies and they made it that when you go to put your calculators into test mode, there is a feature that you can turn off CAS altogether, or you can select an exact arithmetic which will allow you to do sine 45 yields radical 2 over 2, or square root of 8 gives you 2 radical 2. That makes the TI-Nspire CX2 CAS the ideal model for the New York State Graphing Calculator Guidelines. I wanted to share that up front, be very clear, transparent. So far, you can get the software from me for free. The Chromebook extension, just email me, and I've made a YouTube channel to assist teachers and students throughout this pandemic, all free. What I wanted to do with the rest of our time, now that I've gone through all the resources, is I wanted to show how you can use the TI-84 Plus CE or TI-84 Plus. What's great about this software is that you can change the model on the fly. And I believe we had somebody that said they had TI-83 Plus. Michael, you said TI-83 Plus. If you have this software and you go to the mode setting and you change math print to classic, and that's just a nice PC way of saying old, but that's fine. The technology still works. If you were to change it to classic, you would have an 83 Plus, It would say 84, but it would walk and talk and act just like the 83 plus. Your school may have this software, but you're sometimes teaching from home. Again, if you need any of this software, please email me. Don't go spending it out of pocket, and don't try to come up with something. Let me help you. All right? Let's dive right in. I took questions from various exams. Algebra 1, June 2019. Question 1, the expression w to the fourth minus 36 is equivalent to. Anytime my students sat for the exam, the first thing I would have them do is type in an arbitrary value, non-integer. We always use 12.3. I'm going to store that into a variable. The problem uses w, and I want to be consistent with the problem, so I break out my bifocal lenses, and I see that the w is written in green above the minus. So if I press alpha followed by minus, I get my w, and I press enter. At this point in time, I can type in the original problem, w raised to the fourth minus 36. Now, the calculator can't spit out the answer. But I taught the students when I was in the classroom to do it paper and pen, and then you can set your answer that you attain by hand equal to the problem. The Regents is a math test. It says it right there on the 84. Math test. So second, math, select the equal sign, and if I were to set it equal to answer, let's say, 4, which is w squared plus 6, close parentheses, open parentheses, w squared minus 6, close parentheses. When I press enter, it's taking that 12.3 that was stored into w and working the left-hand side and setting it equal to the right-hand side. 1 means true. 1 is a point earned. You got credit. If I were to up arrow into my history, press enter to copy and paste, and I were to try answer 3, which is minus 6 for the two signs, and press enter to reevaluate, I can see that I get a 0 as an output, which tells me that it is false. I didn't earn credit. The Nspire works the exact same way. I would use the store, which is above the var button. Again, 12.3, store into the variable w, and then really quickly, I will put in open parentheses, w squared plus 6 and w squared minus 6. You know what? I'm already getting ahead of myself. I should have put in the original, but we can work it on the fly. That is equivalent to w to the fourth minus 36. And on the Nspire, instead of a 1 for yes, 0 for no, you get a true-false output. That's the only major difference. Question 2, if f of x equals 4x plus 5, what's the value of f of negative 3? Here's a nice way to try that one. Go to y equals on an 83 or an 84. You can put in the function that was given, 4x plus 5, and then second mode, quit out of your y equals. Press alpha trace, and there's a shortcut for all of your y functions. I put 4x plus 5 into y1. So if I select y1, open parentheses, negative 3, and press enter to evaluate, I've just evaluated 4x plus 5 when x equals negative 3 to see the answer is negative 7. So again, using your y equals and then alpha trace is your method that I would recommend. 83 users, vars, y-vars, function, and there you have it. For the Nspire, we could just type in 4x plus 5, and there's a such that symbol on the Nspire. Control equals, here are my inequalities, and I see a such that, and I can say x equals -3, and when I press enter, I get the -7. It evaluates it only for that one instance, and it's not stored in there. So for both models, I'll go ahead and do it. There you have it. Number 3, I don't want to break down all these options, but I thought it was really cool that option 3, which relation is not a function, I would on my Nspire add a graphs page, and it starts in function notation. But if I delete the equal sign, number 6, relation, if you have students who struggle with solving an equation for y, I can now type in 3x plus 2y equals 4. In order to pass our is it a function or not, we usually do a vertical line test. I could go to tab and put in x equals, let's say, something like 2, enter. The Nspire allows you to grab and move. So you can grab and move that vertical line and do a vertical line test right there. Now, we could do a quick graph and do all the definitions, but I just wanted to show that relationship feature for answer 2 and number 3. Again, this is still Algebra 1 from June 2019. Okay, so let me go back, start a brand new document. All right, number 17, written in factored form. This is on the same exam where question 1 was a factor. Again, they even kept with W. You can set the original problem equal to your 4 answers, and you'll get a 1 for yes, 0 for no, or a true false on the Nspire. So I'm not going to go over it. I believe we're all math educators here. We all can go back and see how we did it the first time. But I just wanted to share very, low-hanging fruit here. Number 18. Which ordered pair does not represent a point on the graph? I've been going through old exams. This question has been showing up quite a bit on the Algebra 1 state exam. Since it might have been new for some of us, I'm going to go back and try that example again that I did before. 3x squared minus x plus 7. You could do this going back to your calculator page, alpha trace, select y1, and now we could go through the x values. So negative 1.5 is the x value. The corresponding y value is 15.25. All right, back to the drawing board. Up arrow twice. I could now try something like 1.25, and when I press enter, I see that the output is 10.4375, which doesn't match up with answer 3. This is just a way to do it. Maybe it's more intuitive for your students. Now, I did want to show this. This is how I leave my 84 plus CE. I split the screen So I have a graph and a table showing simultaneously, and I put on the grid lines. So if your 84 CE doesn't look like this, real quick, when you go to mode, the default is full. On the older models, the 83 plus and 84 plus, there is a GT written here. You can select GT by pressing enter. That will give you the split screen. If you want to see the grid lines, you do second zoom, which is the format feature, and I would turn the grid lines on. Now I will be transparent. The 84 plus and the 83 plus has grid dot, which when we're doing virtual might be helpful just to get spatial relations, because it's kind of hard to see where 3, 4 is in space, especially virtually if you don't have a calculator. But this is how I might recommend doing it. I would use the second trace feature and use the value command, and you could put in something like 0.5, and it will show you where that is on the graph. Okay, so that's just another method for doing the same problem. I'll second mode quit out of that. On the Inspire, one way of doing it possibly, in f1 of x equals, type in your function, 3x squared minus x plus 7. Okay, I would add a calculator page, and on the Inspire, if you press var, it's a stored function, and now you could just type in any one of the x values, control, enter, because this is the CAS, you can approximate it. Now the next one, I'm going to already give the ooh and ah up front, because this is New York State and piecewise functions are a big deal. If you have 84 plus CE, your kids might not have access to it, but if you can demonstrate with it, it's good for the educational process. On the 84 plus CE, going to y equals, clearing out what's in there, press the math button once, press the up arrow twice. This is a CE feature. Piecewise is built in. I select it, and I look at the problem, and I see that there's 2 pieces. So I'll left arrow once to drop it down to 2 pieces, and then I'll select OK. That is a thing of beauty. I got to do it again. Absolute value of x. By now, most people know the math print is there. Alpha window. Absolute value. X. And the right arrow is in your cursor. So if you right arrow, you'll navigate this template with ease. The restriction is -5 less than or equal to x less than 2. So I would start by typing in -5, and then I would go into that math test feature. Second, math, and I've been using these calculators since the 82. And every time I've gone here, there's only been 2 menus. Now there's a 3rd menu. If you go over to conditions, every single condition is built in. So I pay close attention. It says less than or equal to, and then strictly less than. So less than or equal to, and strictly less than, the kids can match it up. Option 7, and it takes care of that nasty conjunctive and for the students. And then I can put in 2. I right arrow to get to the next line. -2x plus 10. Right arrow again. and put in our 2, second math, that test feature, over to conditions. We want both less than or equal to, which would be number 5, and none, we put in 6. A tech tip, because you're going to have kids all over, maybe not face-to-face, don't have them just hit graph, because then you're going to have one kid in your online session say, mine doesn't look like that. Have everybody be on the same page and do zoom 6, and you'll be seeing the same picture. So what's great with this split screen now is that I can see where it's not defined, and I can scroll in my table. Second graph puts my cursor in the table, and as I arrow up or down, I'm tracing it, multiple representation, the table and the graph at the same time. Piecewise functions 84 plus CE. Inspire, new document, not saving changes, on a graphs page. We go into our one-stop shop, our templates key, and there is a built-in Piecewise template. Absolute value, go back to the templates. The absolute value is right there. I'm going to find the absolute value of x, right arrow, and -5. Control equals gets me to my inequalities. Less than or equal to x, and control equals again, strictly less than 2. And
I am going to have a job for you too.
-2x plus 10, right arrow, and 2. I want the less than or equal, greater than or equal, x, and then once more back to the well, and let's put it in 6. Press enter, and there you have it. Grab and move the label so that it is not obstructing your view. Do it again. There you have it. Okay. 37. Now we're still on that same exam. So I'm going to exit out of these, start a new document for my Inspire. I absolutely love this question, number 37, about the cheeseburgers and fries. So I'm going to actually start this one on the Inspire. So the Browns buy 4 cheeseburgers and 3 medium fries. The Greens buy 5 cheeseburgers and 4 medium fries. Systems of linear equations. So on the Inspire technology, this is on both the CAS and the numeric model. If you go to algebra and you choose solve systems of equations and do the solve systems of linear equations, there are 2 equations, but you know what? The problem says to use C and F. So instead of X and Y, the kids can have ownership of the problem and change the variables. I'm going to select OK, and you can already see C and F in the template. So we have 4 cheeseburgers plus 3 fries equals a total of $16.53. And the Greens purchase the 5 cheeseburgers and the 4 medium fries for their total of $21.11. CF. $2.79 for the burgers, $1.79 for the fries. Now, I'm showing how the technology can come into play. I don't lead with the technology in the classroom. You lead paper and pen. but this is how the technology can check and assist in the classroom. So how do you do it on the 84 technology? Okay, for the 84 technology, one second, let me just mute out there. All right, so with the 84, I would go into Alpha Zoom. And Alpha Zoom on any 84 model will allow you to do a quick matrix. We need 2 rows and 3 columns. The only difference between the CE and the grayscale 84 is that this is written horizontally, and if you have an 83 plus, you can do this by going into matrix. This is just a shortcut. When I select OK, I now see the outline of a 2 by 3 system of equations, and I would just take my coefficients. 4 for the cheeseburgers, 3 for the fries, and 1653 is that total. I would have 5 for the cheeseburgers, 4 for the medium fries, and $21.11 for that grand total. I'd have the students go into the matrix feature. Second matrix. Go over to the math column, and I tell the kids there's buried treasure at the bottom of this list. So what we need is to get to the bottom of this list, and who loves buried treasure? Pirates. And pirates say, "Arr!" The one item on this menu that has more R's than anything else is reduced row echelon form. I select it. You do have to go in back and select what you typed in, not the answer. I press enter to copy and paste, and when I press enter, I see that 1 cheeseburger and 0 fries is $2.79. So cheeseburgers $2.79. 0 cheeseburgers and 1 fry is $1.79. So fries are $1.79. Systems of linear equations just like that. We'll go home, 1, new document. If this is going too fast, I apologize. Again, I'm recording it so that you can see this on my YouTube channel later. Okay, so let's get to Algebra 1, January 2020. Inequalities. So if I were on a on the calculator app for Nspire, 7x plus 2, and the only difference is instead of an equal sign, use the inequality symbol that you have at your disposal. And I can put in 58, but I forgot the big thing first. I needed to store a value. On the Nspire, actually, I didn't need to do that. I got ahead of myself. 7x plus 2. I can do the greater than or equal to 58 because the Nspire has that wonderful such that symbol, and I can say x equals 6, which we see is the false. That one is not in the solution set. On the 84, instead of the 12.3, you might want to use the actual solutions given. So I would do that 6 first, stored into x, 7x plus 2. In the math test feature, here are all your inequalities. Greater than 58. And remember, we should get a 1 or a 0. 0 means no. It did not fall into that solution set. Number 5, on the January 2020 Algebra 1 exam, we have this equation with fractions, which all of a sudden the kids start getting scared. They see fractions. On the 84 technology, you could go to math up arrow once, and there's a solver tool. Very few teachers actually show this. You have your equation solver, expression 1, expression 2. It's slightly different on the traditional 84. You'd have to do a little monkeying around by subtracting the 17/12 to the other side. But I can now use my fraction template and put in exactly what I see in the problem. X minus 3 over 4 plus alpha y equals the fraction template 2 over 3. I'll down arrow to get to expression 2. I need 17/12. 17 over 12. OK pops up. I'll hit graph. That's a soft key. And then I'll press graph again. If there's a little box in front of it, it tells you that that is the solution. So if I had something like 12.3, what I originally had stored in for x across there, when I press graph to solve, you'll find your solution. The Nspire, if I go to menu and select algebra, this is on the numeric and the CAS value, or CAS units, numerical solve. Those who have been using Nspires for a while, NSolve has been so wonderful. Control, divide to get your fraction. X minus 3 over 4 plus control divide to get my fraction template. 2 over 3, right arrow to get out of the denominator, equals, once more, control divide, 17 over 12, comma, the variable you're solving for, which is x, and there you have it. Number 6, the expression is equivalent to. This is just like what we've been doing with the 12.3 store into x. 1 means yes, 0 means no. 12, again, another factoring problem. You are just doing that 12.3 store into the variable they're using. You can keep it consistent. And I would show this early on in the school year. There are so many students that doubt their math skills, but if you show them that they can check their work, you know what? Give them old Regents exams, but don't give them the multiple choice answers. Make them work for it, and then have them find what it is equivalent to. So open parentheses, I'll do x minus 6, x minus 4. Because I stored 12.3 into x, I got that true. Now, I want to make it clear why I store 12.3 in for x. Let's just say you have a student that doesn't listen to you, and I know that never happens. They are on everything you say. And a student decides, I'm just going to use 2. I don't need 12.3. And they go and do 2 store x. And then you have that algebra student who doubts their skills and asks you, x times x, does that equal, and you know where I'm going with this, does that equal 2x? No, it equals x squared. But if you were to store this value in, they're going to get this false sense of algebra, and that's why we avoid it. What if they decided something like 3 store x, and they had x squared minus 9, a difference of 2 squares, and they're asked to factor it? Well, that math test feature, and the first binomial, they go with x minus 3. We're math teachers. We know when you substitute 3 in, you're going to get 0 right here. 0 times anything is going to be 0. So if the student had no clue how to factor, which we know this isn't right, they got it true. Integers can come back and bite you. That's why I would avoid them at all costs. That arrow on the store button points right across the keyboard. So we're going to be using that. 12.3 store into the variable x. What if they decide to throw a second variable in there? Go the other way. 32.1. Store into a different variable. And now you can check multivariable algebra. So 15, you could use your NSolve feature. So NSolve on the Nspire, you could use the equation solver on the 84. Some people might think graph the left-hand side, graph the right-hand side. That too could work. On the Nspire, just real quick, algebra, numerical solve, and we have another set of parentheses. X plus 4, that quantity squared minus 2 equals 7, comma, x. Now, I'm glad I did this example because it's degree 2, and the previous time it was only one solution. It does work differently when it's degree 2. If I didn't put anything else after this, it's going to find the closest solution to 0. But there's two solutions. Now, a student might be able to figure out, oh, -1's there, so it must be this one. But what I would recommend to teach your students is if it's degree 2 and you're using Nspire, put in another comma and give it a window to look for a solution. Maybe -10, comma, -5. If a solution exists from -10 to -5, it will find it. If you're using Nspire, don't stop there. Have the kids explore. You don't want them to get to the state exam and see something they've never seen before. If I look for a solution from 0 to 5, which there isn't one, this is not an error message. No solution found. The kids need to know that's correct. On the 84, numeric solver, clear out expression 1, clear out expression 2, how it works with the 84 technology, x plus 4, close parentheses, square it, minus 2, and in expression 2, 7. Once I have something in both expression 1 and expression 2, OK pops up. That 12.3 is not the answer. It's the last thing I had there. There needs to be a box in front of the x. If I were just to press graph right now, it'd find the closest solution to what I had across from x. It found -1. If I put in -100 on a number line, -7 is going to be the closest solution. And that's what it's going to find. I don't want to alienate the 84 users that don't have the CE or the 83 users. You can do the same thing. There's just a little bit more involved. You do have to get it equal to 0. So I'd have to move that 7 to the other side. So it's open parentheses, x plus 4, quantity squared, minus 2, minus 7. Maybe we don't want the kids to combine like terms, do too much. That may overwhelm them. Press the down arrow. You see it equal to 0. I'll put in my guess. My guess is 5. Now, it doesn't say solve above graph on the 84. Where it does say solve is above the enter button, but it's in green. all these years you've had this solve feature, but may never have used it. Press alpha, and then press enter, and it will find the closest solution to what you had across from your variable, -1. Putting in -10, just a guess, alpha, enter, -7. Second mode is my quit. Changing the platform again. Okay, so I'm glad I did a degree 2 there. Number 16, store a value into x. Set the original equal to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 20, for 2 points, here's a system of linear equations. Which of these 4 down below has the same solution? If your students didn't attack this properly, or if you didn't know, you could spend upwards of 10, 15 minutes for 2 points. On the Nspire, under algebra, solve systems of linear equations. This is 2 equations, 2 unknowns. We could type in 3x minus y equals 7. And in the second equation, template, 2x plus 3y equals 12. I see my solution is 3, 2. You could go through each one of these and find which one. It's going to save so much time. And with the 84, as I did before, alpha zoom, you have your matrix feature right here. And reduced row echelon form, that would be my suggestion. Graphing systems of inequalities. Remember, State Ed changed their restriction guidelines. There was a feature in our question in the FAQs that asked about apps on the calculator. As long as it doesn't perform a symbolic manipulation, a CAS, it's acceptable. So, 84 users, 83 users, there's an app on your 84 called Inequals. Number 7 on mine, Inequals. P.S. If you hit apps on yours and you only have finance, email me. I'll show you how to add all of your apps. They're free. So option 7, the Inequals app, I can now type in, well, I'd have to first do a little bit of manipulating to get it by itself. So when I manipulate it, it becomes a fraction. And we would have, in the numerator, x plus 4. And in the denominator, we'd have 2. And then I can left arrow and go into the style, press enter, and then when I go to the symbol, I want less than, select OK, it will do a dashed line and shade below. This is now, based on the new calculator guidelines, acceptable for the users. In Y2, do a little manipulation, fraction template, it would come out to be -3x minus 4 in the numerator, all over 4. And engage the style of line. And I want to have greater than or equal to. Select OK. Whoops, I didn't do it. Down to OK, press enter. Zoom 6. And now you see your system of inequalities. And it asked, is 0, 0 a good test point based on your reasoning? Is it in the solution set? There you have it. The Nspire users, you know that when you delete the equal sign, there's your inequalities. You can just do it that way. Or with the Nspire relation, if you can't get it solved for y, you don't need to. -x plus 2y minus 4, and I need to have less than 0. And when I press enter, it's dotted, shaded. I won't bore you by doing the second one, but you see how to do it.
Oh.
So that might be big news right there, that you can use this inequality app. Even the 83 has the inequality app. So I'll go back to y equals. Point this out, since you might not have known it. There's an x equals feature in the inequals app that you can now use. So if you press enter, you can now graph a vertical line using this app. But I'll go back to y equals, just pointing that out, and I will quit the app to turn it off. Yes, I'm sure I wish to quit it. Now, geometry teachers, you've been waiting so patiently. Geometry, I'm going to go strictly to Nspire for this one because it allows relationship graphing. Number 6, we want to see an equation of a circle that's going to have this as a tangent. So I would start with that. X equals -2. Maybe move that label out of the way. And I'll go hit tab, open parentheses, and go with x minus 2, close up shop, squared, plus, open the door, y plus 4, quantity squared, equals 16. When I press enter, I can see a beautiful representation. Now, those who've used 83s and 84s, you could get this y equals, and then you'd have to graph the y in y2, the other half, but it's always been missing the muffin tops, if you will, where those connect. I mean, you could do it. It's just really nice on the new technology. I try to play fair on both sides. That was an Nspire. Algebra 2, January 2020. I'll do this one on the 84 technology. So, alpha window, option 6 on the CE. If you have a regular 84, you can do this in the math menu. But I'll choose option 6, the nice template. Getting ahead of myself. I'm going to do that 12.3, store into X. This one is one of those multivariables, so I'll store into Y, 32.1. Now I'm ready to attack it. So alpha window, option 6, the 4th root, 81, x raised to the 8th power, y, alpha 1 is how we get our y, raised to the 6th power. Be very careful. We've all worked with equation editor and math type. If you're still in the template, it starts writing on. So make sure that the radicand stops. And you can set it equal using that math test feature. And I'll go with answer 1. 3x squared y, and this is really cool, raised to a fractional exponent, and the exponent looks like a fraction. So I'll put 3 in the numerator, 2 in the denominator, and it's storing 12.3, 32.1, left side equals right side, 1. Yay, hurrah, we got it. Number 6 is the exact same thing, x and a instead of x and y. Algebra 2, you get 3 equations, 3 unknowns. We've done it before. I'll do a quick review. Instead of 2 by 3, this time you'd want a 3 by 4 and select OK. And we're just taking the coefficients. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Alpha zoom, 3 by 4. Don't hit enter. That was my mistake. Use the right arrow. The cursor's telling me what to do. Okay, so 1, 1, 1.
Why are you acting like this?
9.
Who's wondering why are you like that?
1.
What do you think?
Negative 1. Negative 1. The joys of Zoom meetings. And the final row, 1, negative 1, 1, and 21. This is a part 1 question. There is no work to be shown. I go to my matrix, I find that reduced row echelon form, I scroll up into my history, select it, copy and paste, and I see my solutions are 4, negative 6, 11, which is not the solution. 4, negative 6, 11. Hey, that negative 8, you don't belong there. You can do the same thing on the Nspire. I've done it before. In the algebra, the solve systems of equations, the only difference is you up the ante and make it 3. As soon as you do that, you'll have X, Y, and Z. January 2018, which ordered pair is not here. I would go to that y equals, put in the function, alpha trace, and that shortcut, you could put in your x values to find your y. Okay, getting short on time, just looking at what I have in here. Let's make sure I don't miss anything. Piecewise, we've done piecewise. Trinomials. It's always good to get a little refresher on regressions. So I'll go to stat. This was question 34 from January 2018. The number of knots in the rope and the length of the rope. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into list 1. And into list 2, I'll put in the various lengths, 64, 58, 49, 39, and 31. Do be sure to press enter. This is problems that kids have all the time. They typed it in and they think they're done. You do need to press enter so that it registers that that was put in. I would then, second mode, quit, stat, over to calc. It says that it's linear regression in the problem, so I would select number 4. There's a stat wizard that pops up, L1, L2. I do recommend for these open response questions, because they usually have a part B, C, D, things like that. Store that regression equation. Use the shortcut. Alpha trace y1. Move on down. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Select y1. Down arrow and do calculate. You'll see your values and your correlation coefficient pops up. P.S. Go to my YouTube channel. See how to properly put these calculators into and out of test mode, because this comes and bites a lot of kids because they don't turn their stat diagnostics on. It's nice that it's now stat diagnostics is in the mode setting, so you don't have to go into your catalog. But if you do press to test properly on the TI technology, you never have to worry about that. It's set up ahead of time. Squeeze this in. We had knots. We had length. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 64, 58, 49, 39, 31. I could then, right here, do menu, choose statistics, stat calculation, mx plus b,
162.
and I'm going to put in the knots, the length, It already has F1 being stored, and I will see the same results right in here. I could do it on a calculator page as well if needed. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been my time. If there are any questions, please feel free to email me. I'll go back to my PowerPoint, possibly. Minimize. Here we are. So the good stuff, the solutions for you. Email me for the software. The Chromebook solution is free till July 15th. Email me for the extension. And they made an affordable student software license and the YouTube channel. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. May next time be face-to-face. Have a great day.